Have you ever gotten lost on tour because of your tour guide? In this story, prepare to get lost in time.
Once upon a time, in the not-so-distant future, there was a time-traveling tour guide named Professor Compass. He was known for his eccentric personality and passion for history, but unfortunately, he had one tiny flaw: a terrible sense of direction. Nevertheless, that didn't deter him from leading tourists on an adventure through history with his quirky time-traveling machine, the Chrono-Chauffeur. One bright morning, a group of eager tourists gathered around the Chrono-Chauffeur, ready for the journey of a lifetime. The tour group consisted of a stylish woman from the 1920s, a tech-savvy guy from the year 2030, a chivalrous knight from the Middle Ages, and a rock star from the 1980s, among others. They all had one thing in common: they wanted to witness history up close and personal. Welcome, everyone, to the Chrono-Chauffeur. I am Professor Compass, your esteemed time-traveling guide, the professor declared with a theatrical bow. Are you sure you know where you're going? The rock star asked with a raised eyebrow. Of course, my dear chap. Trust me, I've traveled through history a million times. What could possibly go wrong? Professor Compass replied confidently, though secretly, he wasn't too sure. With that, the group hopped into the Chrono-Chauffeur, and the professor set the destination for ancient Egypt. The machine whirred and hummed, and with a flash of light, they landed. Welcome to ancient Egypt, Professor Compass announced grandly, completely unaware of the mistake he had made. The tourists exchanged puzzled glances. Professor, are you sure this is ancient Egypt? The 1920s woman inquired, eyeing the Roman Colosseum in the distance. Yes, my bad. It seems we have landed in ancient Rome. What a delightful surprise. The professor chuckled, trying to cover up his error. Despite the mix-up, the tourists decided to make the most of it and enjoyed a day at the Roman baths and Egyptian chariot races while giggling at the professor's confusion. The next destination was supposed to be medieval Japan. However, the Chrono-Chauffeur had other plans and dropped them off in the middle of a Viking village. Welcome, everyone, to medieval Japan, Professor Compass declared, raising his arms dramatically. The tourists looked around, seeing burly Vikings with longboats and helmets adorned with horns. The tech-savvy guy couldn't resist taking a selfie with a Viking while the knight tried to engage them in a chivalrous duel. Professor, this is not Japan, this is a Viking village, the knight pointed out, trying not to laugh. Right you are. My sincerest apologies, my dear adventurers. It seems we are Vikings, the professor admitted, his face turning slightly red. From there, the group traveled through time and space, landing in the wrong eras at every turn. They ended up in Renaissance France, where the rock star gave an impromptu guitar solo to an enthusiastic crowd who had no idea what hit them. They accidentally gate-crashed a Victorian-era ball, where the tech-savvy guy tried to explain Wi-Fi to perplexed ladies in corsets. The tourists embraced the hilariously anachronistic encounters throughout their journey and made the best of every situation. They laughed, learned, and created unforgettable memories. Despite Professor Compass's terrible sense of direction, the time-traveling tour was a roaring success. The tourists returned home with a newfound appreciation for history, a handful of amusing stories to share, and a special fondness for their quirky guide.
And so, the legend of Professor Compass, the time-traveling tour guide with a terrible sense of direction, spread far and wide, making him the most sought-after and beloved guide in the whole of history, even if he couldn't always find the right time.